Mark, how are you over 50 and stay in great shape? What do you do? Yeah, of course, you're the trainer or the coach, but what's the secrets? If I were to narrow it down, that's really truly helped me as well as hundreds and hundreds of people, men and women like yourself. So I want to share that with you, some of these tips. Welcome back to another episode of the Brave Today podcast. The show is going to encourage, challenge, maybe even provoke you to step outside of your comfort zone and take more action to better improve yourself and your health. I'm your host, Mark Avens, and in this crazy upside down world that keeps pushing the narrative for you to become softer and weaker and sicker and unhealthier and more dependent than ever. The goal and intent of the show is to help you navigate it so that you can become not only braver today, but braver today than you were yesterday. And we've been on this series of top 50 tips to getting fit after 50. And while I have these mixed in with some other episodes, it's been something that's been resonating with me. I've been getting a lot of questions. Mark, how are you over 50 and stay in great shape? What do you do? Yeah, of course, you're the trainer or the coach. So I get it. But what's the secrets? And I actually had a lot of secrets. I have a lot of secrets, but there was really 50, if I were to narrow it down, that's really truly helped me as well as hundreds and hundreds of people, men and women like yourself, who were previously struggling with their weight and their health and their fitness. And they just kind of dialed it in. They got some help. They got coaching, been in our Brave program, and are getting amazing results. So I want to share that with you, some of these tips. And we are on the third episode of this. There's 50 tips. I did the first 20. If you want to go back and watch the last 20, those are the last two episodes on this. We are going to go 21 through 30. And listen, before I get into it, we have a couple of different shows. I do some interviews. People are braver today than yesterday and helping people like you become braver as well. Those are typically mentors, coaches, close friends of mine, people I really look up to, and people that have been making a huge difference in helping other people's lives. Also, we have a Q&A, Brave Q&A, and that's where I'll be answering questions. And I know I say a little bit lost in translation. So the best way for you to send in your questions, I'm going to give you an email. It's info, I-N-F-O, at Avens, A-V-E-N-S, fitness.com. So if you submit your questions to info at avensfitness.com, I'll make sure to screen those first to make sure they're legit questions. And then I may be featuring that in one of our next Brave Q&As. Also, we do the flavor of the day. It's just talking about latest news on health and fitness. And this is more or less a flavor of the day, I guess. It's not a breakthrough guest interview or Q&A. And then we do have breakthrough episodes where I do a deep dive into one area, physical, mental, emotional, maybe spiritual, basically any area that could be holding you back. So let's jump right in. We are on the top 50 tips to get fit after 50. That's a mouthful to say that really fast. So we are on number 21. So we finished up with going to bed earlier and getting up earlier. Number 21 is to set huge goals for yourself. If I can tell you one thing that's helped me become in better shape now, I'm 51, than I was at 41. And to be honest with you, to some extent, 31. Now, I wasn't as young and youthful, but I definitely feel like I'm smarter, wiser, I have more of a skill set in fitness, and that I'm really grateful for. But part of the process was not just setting mediocre goals, not just kind of like, I want to be an average guy. Like, I want to have the dad bod and, I want to just kind of let life happen. And I've been married now for, over 2 decades, and I don't have to really try. Like, that's not for me. Hopefully it's not for you. If you want to get fit after 50, you got to set some huge goals for yourself. So one of my huge goals is I want to be fitter in my 50s than I was in my 40s. And when I was in my 40s, I said the same thing. And it has been evolving. This is something that is progressive. So the way to make it progressive is if you're on track and you're pushing yourself and you're challenging your body and you're making some great progress with your goals, you're probably going to have to keep leveling them up. And it's good. So why not just set huge goals from the beginning? Set some long-term goals and then, of course, set some short-term, and then make sure that you have a deadline for that. Don't just loosely set a major goal. I want to lose 100 pounds. I want to run a marathon, or I want to fit back, I want to look good with my shirt off at the beach, whatever it is, right? You got to set some more specific, but go big, set some huge goals. Last year in 2023, I set a huge goal to do an event called Everesting, and actually going to be sharing that in my next episode about 29029. And also another big goal of mine is to do 12-hour walks. Now, I did my first one. This is inspired by Colin O'Brady. I'm going a little bit down the rabbit trail, but I did a 12-hour walk on January 6th. And if you want to learn more about that, I'll be featuring that in an upcoming show. And they're big goals. Like, who goes out and just goes for a 12-hour walk? And the Everest event was something I had to train and prepare for over the course of the year, but it was a big goal, something I've never done before. And I've achieved them both. And the way to do that is to actually set the goals for yourself. So that's number 21. And if you like this, if you've enjoyed this, I'd love to hear from you. What's one big goal that you're shooting for in 2024? What's one big aspiration for your health and for your fitness that you would like to achieve this year that maybe you didn't achieve last year or you never really thought about it until now? Set those big goals and be really, really bold in setting huge goals for yourself. Number 22. Now, while you set those huge goals, share your fitness goals with others. Go ahead and share it. Make it public. Share it as a post. Share it with your friends, your family. Own it. Like, that's a good amount of pressure. They say that, diamonds take an extreme amount of pressure to make, right? Under extreme pressure, that's when diamonds are formed, right? And they're very, very valuable. Well, I would say the pressure for you to succeed and achieve your goals and to hit what you're trying to achieve in 2024, be open about it. Be public. Now, I know like the drawback for some is, now, you know what, I'm just going to do the work while nobody's watching. That's totally cool. If you're trying to set some goals and you really struggle to keep in kind of yourself, I guess, so to speak, under the fire, and you really end up finding yourself giving up often, share those with others. Feel a little bit of pressure. Feel that peer pressure. That's a good thing. We have inside of our inner circle, we have students to share their wins and their goals and their weekly goals, their monthly goals, quarterly goals, habits that they're changing. And we encourage to share partly so that there's a little good, healthy pressure. That's good, right? That's exciting. And it's exciting more when you actually hit those goals because you felt that pressure when you didn't want to do it. And what happens when you don't want to get up and you don't want to work out? You do it anyway because you're feeling that pressure. So that is sharing your fitness goals with others. And that could be simply, sharing with your spouse, with your family, so that they can also encourage and help you. Number 23, learn how to say no. Learn how to say no. This one's very important. I think as we get older and we have more responsibilities and then we start families and we have spouses and kids and then jobs, maybe two jobs, and then you're taking care of family members and you're being pulled in all different directions, right? And I think, in the spirit of being human and wanting to be valuable, be valued by others is when people need you, right? And that's a good thing. The problem is when they're not getting the best of you because you're saying yes to everybody but yourself. Listen to me when I say this. You have to say yes to you first. And despite the belief that that's a very selfish thing to do, I should never say yes to me first when everybody else needs me. I'm a mom, right? I'm taking care of my parents. I have grandchildren. I have a job, business people, rely on me. I have a spouse, I have to do this with them and take care, like all that, provide for them, all those things. And what happens is now you might be able to give yourself to all these things, but you're not giving your best self to all these things. And the way to do that is to learn how to say no. Time is really the most precious thing. And if you spend all your time for other people and for other people's needs, when is it time to take care of you? And this is really, I feel like, on an epidemic proportion scale with people that are getting sicker and unhealthier and overweight and out of shape and stressed out and depressed and all these things filled with anxiety and fear and regret. And those are things simply because you do not know how to say no. You want to get fit after 50 in your 50s and 60s? Heck, you can learn this now if you're in your 40s. Learn how to say no. Number 24. This one's a no-brainer, minimize processed foods. I'm going to actually take that the next step. So not only minimize processed food. So let's kind of classify what's a processed food. Well, if you go to the grocery store and you see a banana, now despite it being organic or pesticide or whatever, but there's a banana that's in the shelf in the produce section, right? And that wasn't, for the most part, that wasn't made by putting all kinds of artificial stuff together. It grew like on a tree somewhere, even if it was half grown in a box, right? But it's a banana's a banana, an apple's an apple, right? And I'm going to get back to that in just a moment. But I'm talking about when you go to the store and you pick up a package, you can't read half of the items in the ingredient list. You don't have any idea what you're ingesting and putting in your body, right? That's something, again, processed, packaged, things that have long, long shelf lives. Those are the things that you want to avoid the best as possible. You want to have minimal process. Now, I'm going to take that one step further. I'm learning nowadays, and I'm actually going to do a whole series on this with foods because I find that it is something that as a consumer, we are getting completely blindsided by so many different foods that are out there. You have no idea really what's in them. Even the ones that have less ingredients, even the ones that are not processed, even the fresh whole foods, supposedly fresh whole foods, we have to be a very, very smart consumer or smart advocate for the food that you're putting in your body, in your kid's body, your family's body. And it does require a skill. You have to learn the skill, what to look for. What's the number on the sticker that's on your produce? What does that say? Where is your produce coming from? Where about your meat? What's the difference between cage fed and farm raised and no antibiotics and organic and free range? Like, what's the difference in all those eggs? And I can say that that's something that requires you to actually be a better consumer. You have to be a smarter consumer. So I'm going to actually do also another series on that as well. We have a Brave community that I'm building very soon. It's actually going to be open to our inner circle clients first, and then I'll be opening to the public where we're going to provide such an amazing area for you to get the resource you need so that you can live a healthier, more fit life, and something I'm working on behind the scenes. So bear with me as we put that together. All right. So minimal processed foods. Again, kind of a no brainer, but really like becoming something that almost requires a PhD to truly understand. And I'm imagining that you care what goes into your body. And even if you're not maybe really strict about it, I'm sure for the most part, you and I both know you put crap in, you're going to get crap out. You put good things in your body. So you really want to be smart about what you put in your body. All right, let's go. Eat more veggies on the processed food. This kind of just segues into that. Eat more veggies. Eat more veggies. You can do lots of things with veggies these days, and you can mix them, you can saute them, you can steam them, you can eat them raw. You can grow your own veggies if you have even like counter space. There's ways now you can make your own veggies at home. You can, even some people are starting to do small little homestead farms and just ways that they can get more veggies in. Well, Mark, I just don't like the veggies. Well, it's an easy cop out. So saying, well, I don't like veggies is an easy cop out because I know plenty of people that actually came into our program initially saying, Mark, I don't eat vegetables. I don't really eat it at all. And they're finding ways to make them palatable to the point where they're actually learning how to enjoy them. I know, for instance, a perfect example in the morning, you're like, how am I going to get veggies in the morning? I don't want to like sit down and have a green salad, right? But I know I need to have vegetables throughout all my meals. Ideally, right? You want to have lots and lots of vegetables. One of the ways you can do that is to mix them in with a protein smoothie, mix them in an omelet, make a garden omelet, put some spinach in your next protein shake after your workout, right? Those are options. There's also things, I'm not too versed on them. I actually have some, I've tried a little bit, but they have like opti greens and they have opti reds, which are more or less just like powdered versions of fruits and vegetables. So again, if you really struggle to get in your amount of fruits and vegetables through your day, it's another alternative. I wouldn't rely on that because again, some of that stuff is going to be processed as well and how they manufacture it. So you just want to be conscious on that. Why is it so important to eat more veggies? Well, there's lots of nutrients in there for your body, for digestion, for your health. The fiber in the vegetable is so good. It helps to kind of satiate you, keep you fuller longer. It's also great for your skin and your bones and your muscles and your digestive system and your circulatory system. And all those things, the vegetables are going to be valuable for you. And of course, if you're wanting to get fit, that's going to be something that definitely needs to be on the table. More veggies, eat more veggies. Okay. Number 26. This is something that I've sworn by for years and years and years. And I'm a perfect example of that. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't do something active. And it doesn't mean I have to go to a workout or go for a run, or break a sweat, just doing something active every day. So the more you move, the better you feel. You feel me on that? Like that's truly something that I have to say has been a game changer. Really, I've always been pretty active, but a game changer for so many people that I've seen that haven't been active until they decided to change the trajectory of their health and decide to lose weight, decide to get coaching and mentorship and help behind them so that they can live a longer, healthier, more fit life, not be dependent on medications and doctor's visits and all those types of things. Really, this is such a key ingredient to getting fit after 50. I've shared with you before in the past, my dad's one of them had quadruple bypass from a heart valve he's had forever, but he's at 81, cycling anywhere. So maybe 50 to 80 miles a week on his bike. He just shared with me about a week or so ago that I think he clocked in over 2,700 miles on his bike. He's 81. So doing something active every day is going to be beneficial. He's not on any medications. He's up and moving and healthy. And for an 81-year-old is pretty damn good. So part of it, I will say, I can just look at the generation ahead. I've seen people that aren't active, that aren't fit, that don't do something active every day. They don't have nearly as good of a life. I can just tell you, the more you move, the better you're going to feel. It's going to make you want to be active. So do yourself a favor. If you were just to do this one thing, it's going to help you get more fit. Do something active every day, 20-minute walk, go for a bike ride, take your dog for a longer walk, right? Go for a swim. Learn how to exercise at a gym, get with some friends and pick up maybe tennis or maybe golf or maybe pickleball. Pick up a sport, pick up something. It doesn't matter what age you are. Get out there, get moving, start hiking again. Maybe you haven't been hiking in years. Get out there and be active every day. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to have more endorphins. It's going to help your body look better. It's going to keep your muscles stronger and your balance better. It is overall really one of the key ingredients to you getting in better shape. I would assume if you're watching this right now, you're listening to this episode, then you want to get in better shape after 50. So again, some of them like, well, what about the science behind it? Well, and the science is just look around, go look at people who look in better shape, who have a better smile, who actually are enjoying life. I guarantee you, they're going to be people that are more active than the ones sitting on their butts on the couch behind a TV or computer or their phones all day, every day, right? Those are the ones that end up needing rides to the doctor's offices, right? So just be aware, like you are how you move. You move more, you're going to be better off all the way around at any age and actually throughout the course of your life. So be active every day. You guys digging this so far? I'm enjoying actually reviewing these. And these are a reminder for myself because as I'm reading through these and sharing with you my take on the 50 tips, it's just something as a reminder for myself. So this is a little bit of self-therapy. I think sometimes when you own up to the things that you want to achieve in life, part of it is helping and teaching others to do the same. It's been really a key ingredient. I love what I do, partly because I have to actually walk the walk. If I'm going to talk the talk, then I also have to walk the walk. And I know that's something that for me has been really one of the best assets for me pursuing a fitness career my whole life, pretty much the past 30 years. All right. So number 27. Here's one that's a little bit more internal, a little bit more personal. You have to become your own biggest fan. And here's what I mean by that. Like think of a superhero or think of somebody that you are like look up to. Maybe there's a superhero when you were a kid. They're like, wow, I really want to be like that person when I get older, right? And you can be that fan, or maybe there's somebody in Hollywood, hopefully not too much, but maybe there's somebody in your life that you're a fan of. And that's good to be that person's fan, but you want to 10 times more be your own biggest fan because the reality is you have to live with you. You have to put your head down on the pillow. You wake up with you every day. You're the one that goes and sees yourself in the mirror. You're the one that chooses what you eat. Like you're the one that lives inside of your body for your entire life. So do you think it's going to be beneficial, regardless if you are significantly overweight, severely obese, you've had a disaster of a life, maybe you've had just issue after issue and you're 45 years old, but you feel like you're 75 years old. You don't have anything, like you're overly depressed. You're numbing it with food or booze or drugs or whatever it is. And you're trying to avoid the inevitable. You're in and out of doctors' offices. You're in and out of pharmacies picking up your prescriptions. You're truly like at a point in your life where you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think the way to climb out of that, and you can do it literally starting today, is you don't have to like where you're at right now, but it doesn't mean you can't be your own biggest fan because you have to convince you that you're worth it. Let me just say that again. You have to convince yourself that you're worth it. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Your spouse isn't, your coach, your friends, right? Your family members. No mentor is going to, even those of you who are walking in faith, right? Like it's something that even if you believe God is your biggest fan and if you are a believer like myself, you still have to believe in yourself enough to get up another day and to work towards the things that matter to you most. And I've struggled with this over the years. I've always had, and I'm sure you had those times where you're like, is this worth it? Am I worth it? Be just easier to give up. Why bother? People aren't even listening. I can't tell you how many times. I'll be completely dead honest with you. And I am an expert. Like, I'll just let you know. I wasn't an expert 20 years ago, probably getting close to one, but 30 years of pursuing this as a career, helping men and women like yourself get off the weight loss journey, get in great shape, completely transform their bodies, their lives, their families, all those things. There's been times where, like, even with all the experience, even with the thousands of success stories, I sometimes just feel like, am I even that good? Like, why are people listening to me? I've had those, and that starts in the mind. And the way to become your biggest fan is you have to address, you can't just suppress and push down those negative thoughts. You need to address where you're feeling, and even the things that aren't going so well, you do need to own up to those. Because chances are the majority of things that aren't going so well, if you're overweight, you're out of shape, you're not making time for yourself, you're depressed, you're sick, all these things, chances are there's a high likelihood that it's on you. Like, not saying everything, right? Because some things come up. Basically, it's kind of like what they say when it comes to nutrition. You are what you eat, right? You're wearing your diet. So if you're 50 pounds overweight, that's saying something about how you treat yourself and your body. That's just the reality. So I want to encourage you to become your biggest fan, which means if you don't like where you're at, do something about it. You got to take action. If you're your own biggest fan, then you're realizing that you're not giving your all. You're not allowing your body to become its best. You're not as fit as you want. You're not giving yourself your best. You're not giving your family, your loved ones, your spouse, your kids, your grandchildren your best because you're not giving you your best because you just don't believe you are your biggest fan. So do something about it today. Start by being your biggest fan. Like, I guarantee you that will actually change the trajectory of your fitness in your 50s and your 60s and your 70s. And you will be surprised how that will completely transform your entire life, your world. That's one of my favorites. Number 28, stop worrying about what others think. In that, now we're going to kind of segue into the next one. While you're being your biggest fan, I won't cuss here, but you could tell people that don't believe you, that are critiquing you, that are naysayers, saboteurs, tell them to F off. Like, honestly, you can just tell them, like, screw you. I'm doing me and you can do you, and don't worry about what I'm doing. Now, of course, people have said that to me. Don't you worry. Like, I'm as fit as I want to be fit. That's cool. You can, and all good. Hey, best of luck to you. Have a nice life. I'm talking about those of you who are trying to improve yourself. You're trying to become better. You're not giving this world your absolute best. You have so much more in skills. There's so much there that you have a value that you want to bring to this world. And Lord knows we need more people like you in this space, sharing goodness, sharing life, sharing love, being valuable, teaching the next generation, right? Those are the people that we need more of. And here's the thing, a lot of people aren't, because they're just too worried about what other people think. And they're worried about failing. And when they're worried about failing, then they're really worried. It prevents them from doing anything at all, because then they're worried about people judging them for failing. I had this conversation with my team just last week. We were talking, and I said, to be honest with you, some of the highlight reels of my life have come right after some of my worst failures. And I'm actually grateful. It's hard to say because I don't wish more of them, but I do know they're coming. It's hard to say that I'm really grateful for the valleys. I'm grateful for the struggles. I'm grateful for the disappointments. I'm grateful for the letdowns. I'm grateful for the loss. I'm grateful for the bad decisions that I've made, because out of those will actually allowed me to grow and learn and become better and learn from my mistakes and grow into something. Now, I've made even some mistakes, and I've gone back and made a lot of the same mistakes. And I've learned after making the same mistakes, and just started at a young age. And I've learned that you make the same mistakes twice and it hurts 10 times as much. So, it's kind of like touching the stove. You touch it once, you're like, ow, okay. And you have the reflex, oh no, you touch it twice, like, ah. And then you do whatever you can to not touch it a third time. You want to learn from the things that are causing pain, right? We don't like pain. We want to avoid pain at all costs. And one of the things that is really painful is when we're also worried about what other people think. But I can share with you like the best triumphs that you're going to have, the biggest victories that you're going to claim are going to come after some of your worst moments. That's just a reality, but be grateful because that's going to be able to create you a new version of yourself, a better version, upgraded version of yourself. And that's what you should be seeking no matter what anybody else says. Okay, we got two more to go. Number 29, give yourself credit and celebrate your wins. Give yourself credit and celebrate your wins. I think the actual hardest thing is celebrating wins. You can give yourself credit. Yeah, hey, I did this, I did that, but like celebrating. Now, I'm not talking about, hey, I lost 10 pounds. Let me go on a cruise and all you can eat cruise for a week and blow it out of proportion and be back behind the eight ball further than I was to begin with. No, I'm not talking about that. Learn how to celebrate your wins. Be very proud of yourself. Be grateful that you stuck with it, that you endured the challenges, that you had the discipline, you learned from your past mistakes, you grew into a new version of yourself. And maybe it's not even where you want to be yet. But again, if you're not celebrating your wins along the way, it's going to be easy when you do fall off track because you're not going to be thinking about all those wins. And there's this great book by Sullivan, and it's called The Gap and the Gain. It's a really great book. I read it a couple of times last year. Probably going to be on my list to read again. I believe my wife's actually in the middle of it right now. She might have finished it already. She's a quick reader. But The Gap and the Gain is actually looking at your life in reverse. And I know a lot of times like, hey, don't dwell on the past, but not so much dwelling on all the bad choices you made, because I don't like to think too much about those. But look at how far you've come. Like in order for you to live in the now, like you can look at the gap, where you're not at, but you can also look in reverse, look at the last couple of years and the gain of the things that you've gone through, that you're still here, you survived, right? You thrived, you were able to overcome probably so many things and you just don't think about them simply because you're not celebrating your wins in the moment that you are and reflecting back. So, encouraging you right now, celebrate your wins and don't forget them. Write them down, journal them, share them with people because they're not only going to help you, but it might encourage and inspire somebody else to chase after their goals and have big wins like you. Okay, we got one last one for this episode, and that is stop believing everything your doctor is telling you. Whoo, that one is getting really, really more truer now than ever before. You know, the course of the past couple of years. And honestly, the value of doctors, I'm not going to negate it. My wife's a nurse practitioner. There is certainly a value there. You know, back in the day, and I will reference back in the day, where doctors were out for the most part there to help you get better. They wanted you to heal, they wanted you to improve. There wasn't all the funding that you see now by pharmaceutical companies and luxury vacations and giving you bonuses for medications and vaccines and all the kind of stuff that gets handed out. That's a reality. And that's partly why I got out of the medical when I was in physical therapy and worked in an orthopedic hospital. It's all about business. It's not about the business of getting you healthier. It's about the business of keeping you as a customer. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, and I won't back down on this. You know, there was a course of time, probably in like the early 2000s, where doctors weren't getting paid as much for services. The same thing that happened to physical therapy. Instead of going to your physical therapist for 6 months for a shoulder rotator cuff repair, they gave you like 6 visits to get it fixed. If not, then you weren't getting paid. So they had to kind of run them in and run them out. It lowered the value of, now, I believe it was honestly our own doing. Like it's kind of like we shot ourselves in the foot because I think there was a lot of therapists and I saw it that were abusing the system, right? And it's the same thing in the medical. But in the medical, it's really different. Where now, unfortunately, the medical backing behind them are a lot of these multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical companies. And I'm not saying to not believe your doctor for certain things. I'm saying you have to be 10 times a better, not consumer, but a better advocate of your health than even the food that you eat. Because if you haven't seen the course of the last couple of years, you know this is not to the blame of just doctors. It's to the people that are funding the doctors. Like they're making money off of people being sick. And I only say that. I have some very strong opinions about that based on personal experience and working with a number of people who are trying to better themselves. And all their doctors are trying to do is stick them on medication or tell them to go have weight loss surgery
right? Everything's going to be okay. Why not just have this surgery or that surgery or go on this medication or that medication? It's complete bullshit. I can't just say it any other way. It's actually complete bullshit. The good news is I do think people are waking up, learning that the best chance for them to have a healthy, fit life is to actually take better care of their healthy, fit life and stop leaning in, stop just kind of letting life happen to you. And then when something bad happens, just rely on a doctor and their medication that they have prescribed for you. All right, enough is that. That's the last one. That's a little spicy for that last one. This was episode 3 on top 50 tips to get fit after 50. Let me know which one was your favorite. And by all means, if you have a question, just drop them at info@avensfitness.com. And then lastly, as you know, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this episode. Subscribe to the show, share with your friends. And if you want to stay up to date behind the scenes content, you can watch this on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those different platforms. You'll see I'm a little bit more prominent on some than others. We are building our own Brave platform that will be soon launched. So stay tuned for that. More to come. Take care. Have a blessed day. We'll talk to you soon.